Hey guys, it's Sagar and I have the iPhone 14, 13 and 12 in front of me. A lot of you guys were asking me to compare at least 2 of these phones, but since I had all 3 of them, I thought why not make a comparison video including all of them. With the upcoming festival sales and prices of previous iPhones being lowered, I know many of you are confused that which iPhones would be right for you. Don't worry, after watching this video, you will have a much clear idea that which of these phones is the right one for you. We will be looking at everything starting from their prices, design, build quality, cameras, battery and a lot more, so this is going to be a slightly longer video. But don't worry, it is going to be filled with ton of details. If you guys want to skip to a specific part of this video, you can do that from the chapters on the timeline of this video. Without wasting any time, let's get started. And what better place to begin than taking a look at their prices and availability. All these phones are officially a part of Apple's current lineup, and you can purchase them right now from Apple's official website amongst other places. Like me, if you are living in India, then you might also find iPhone XR and iPhone 11 in some of the online and offline stores. But these phones are officially discontinued by Apple and they will just be available until the stock clears out. This is the reason I am not including the iPhone 11 in this video, otherwise I have that one with me as well. All the color and storage options of the iPhone 12 and 13 are pretty easily available whenever you wish to buy them. But since the iPhone 14 just came out less than a week ago, it might be a bit difficult to find all of its colors and storage variants in stock right now. Its availability will of course get better as days and weeks pass by. So coming to their prices. As you might have guessed it, iPhone 12 is the most affordable of these three and it starts at 59,900 rupees for 64GB of internal storage. iPhone 13 now starts at 69,900 rupees for 128GB storage variant and the iPhone 14 is priced at 79,900 for the same storage. iPhone 12 is also available in 128 and 256GB of internal storage, while the iPhone 13 and 14 are available in 256 and 512GB storage variants at these prices. These are their official prices on Apple's website without any discount offers at the time of uploading this video. These might change depending on when you are watching the video, so for the latest prices and discount offers, make sure to click on the link in the description section. Although the iPhone 12 is the cheapest of all three, I strongly feel that you should not buy it at its full price of 59,900 rupees. You just get 64GB of storage at that price, and if you go with the 128GB storage variant to match the storage on the other two phones, then the price is just 5,000 rupees less than the base variant of the iPhone 13. At this point, you are just better off spending the extra 5,000 rupees for the iPhone 13. Now talking about the festival sale prices, Amazon has teased that the iPhone 12 will be available at under 40,000 rupees, and I think that is an amazing price for it. If you are looking to get a very good iPhone and you can't spend anything over 40,000 rupees, then this would be a great time to get the iPhone 12. If you are willing to spend extra to get an even better phone, then you have the iPhone 13 and 14 as your options. Even at its full retail price of 69,900 rupees, I think the iPhone 13 is a much better phone to get than the recently launched iPhone 14. We will see why a bit later in the video. To make it an even sweeter deal, Flipkart has teased to offer the iPhone 13 at under 50,000 rupees in their upcoming Big Billion Day sale. I think that makes the iPhone 13 the best iPhone to get this year. This deal is so good that it might even get sold out in just a few minutes. iPhone 14 costs most out of these three, and I don't think it is going to get a big discount in the upcoming festival sale. So if price is your main deciding factor, your only two options will be the iPhone 12 and the 13. So why is the iPhone 14 priced higher than the other two? Could it be the design and choice of build materials? I don't think so. Now with the flat displays, boxy sides and aluminium frame, all three of these phones have a very similar design language. We see a couple of differences between the design of the iPhone 12 and 13. Both the phones come with a notch, but the one on the iPhone 13 is visibly narrower than the one on the iPhone 12. And the placement of the two rear cameras is diagonal on the iPhone 13 to accommodate the bigger sensors as compared to the vertical stacked position on the iPhone 12. But when you look at the iPhone 14, it looks exactly similar to the iPhone 13. So much so that many of you were even wondering that if I just showed the iPhone 13 in my iPhone 14's unboxing video. Honestly, I can't really blame you guys for that. If I get both the iPhone 14 and 13 in either starlight or midnight colors and show it to a few people, I bet 9 out of 10 people won't be able to tell which is which. The only visual change between the iPhone 13 and 14 is the slightly bigger camera lenses on the back of the iPhone 14 and slightly different flash, both of which are things anyone could easily miss unless you look at both the phones side by side and you know what you're looking for. If you really like compact phones, you have the option to get the iPhone 12 and the iPhone 13 in their mini sizes. iPhone 12 mini is officially discontinued, but you can still find it at some of the online and offline stores. iPhone 13 mini is however still a part of Apple's official lineup and you can get it straight from Apple as well. Sadly, there is no iPhone 14 mini this time. Apple has however made a plus size available in the iPhone 14 lineup. If you want to get an iPhone 14 with a 6.7-inch display, but if you don't want to spend as much on a Pro Max model, then this year you are in luck and you can go with the iPhone 14 Plus. Alright, coming back to these regular sized iPhones. All three get the same ceramic shield glass at the front and aluminium frame. They even have the same water resistance rating, so I think it is safe to say the design is not what makes the iPhone 14 costs more. Now because the design is not that different, even if you go with the iPhone 12, you won't feel like you are getting an outdated phone, which is a good thing. Coming to their displays, all three get the 6.1-inch OLED display with a resolution of 2532 by 1170 pixels, True Tone and wide P3 color gamut. Apple calls this Super Retina XDR display. Despite of the competition offering higher refresh rate displays from before iPhone 12's launch, we still get 60Hz refresh rate even on the iPhone 14, which is just not right. Yes, these 60Hz displays do feel smoother than the 60Hz on any other phone in the market, but I think it is time Apple starts bringing the 120Hz display to the non-Pro iPhones as well. All three can reach the same 1200 nits of peak brightness while watching HDR content outside, but the typical peak brightness on the iPhone 13 and 14 for non-HDR content is 800 nits, which is slightly above the 625 nits of typical peak brightness on the iPhone 12. Now I have seen quite a few reviewers mention that the iPhone 14 has a slightly higher resolution or slightly smaller bezels than before, but that is not true. The display size, resolution and bezels are just the same as before. You can check and compare them on Apple's website and you will find them to be exactly same. All three get a notch, and while it is a bit narrower on the iPhone 13 and 14, it could be just as in the way while watching content as it is on the iPhone 12. You might have heard this a million times by now, but you do get used to it in a while and forget that it is even there. The only time that it might come truly in the way is while watching videos in full screen mode. There's a notch on all these phones because they get Face ID to unlock their phone instead of a fingerprint sensor. While I think an under display or a side mounted physical fingerprint sensor would have been a great feature, I still love how fast, accurate and convenient the Face ID is to unlock your phone. If you go with the iPhone 13 or 14, it can now even recognize your face when it is in landscape orientation. On the iPhone 12, you still have to hold the phone vertical in order for it to scan and recognize your face. One of the things which I love about the display on these three phones is that other than the notch above, we get thin and even bezels on other three sides of the display. For the longest time, this was the thinnest chin bezel on any phone. Overall quality of these displays is top notch. Colors look excellent and viewing angles and contrast also look really good. Basically, if you consume a lot of content on your phone, you will be really happy by going with either three of them. I must say that 800 nits of brightness on the iPhone 13 and 14 doesn't sound all that higher than the 625 nits on the iPhone 12. But I was out shooting a lot of image and video samples with these phones yesterday, and the extra bit of brightness does come in handy when you're outdoors. So if you use your phone outside a lot, then consider going with the iPhone 13 or the 14. If you like to listen to your audio via the built-in speakers, then you should know that the speakers on all three sound really good. I think the speakers on the iPhone 13 and 14 are equal and they have similar kind of sound profile, while the ones on the iPhone 12 are a bit less louder in comparison. It still sounds crisp and natural. One of the changes between the iPhone 12 and newer iPhones is the placement of the earpiece speaker. One on the iPhone 12 sits between the notch, while the iPhone 13 and 14 have their earpiece speakers moved up and now it touches the top frame. Moving the speaker out of the way is actually how they were able to reduce the size of the notch on these phones. Unfortunately, none of them come with a headphone jack. So you will either have to buy a Lightning to 3.5mm headphone jack adapter if you want to keep on using your existing pair of earphones, or switch to Bluetooth earphones if you don't want to blast audio via the built-in speakers. Coming to the internals, this is where we will again see a bigger difference between the iPhone 12 and 13 than we will see between the iPhone 13 and 14. iPhone 12 gets a 14 Bionic chip with 6 CPU cores and 4 GPU cores, 4GB RAM, 64, 128 or 256GB of internal storage and a 2815 mAh battery. iPhone 13 gets the A15 Bionic chip, again with 6 CPU cores and 4 GPU cores, 4GB RAM, 128, 256 or 512GB of internal storage and a noticeably bigger 30-40 mAh battery. This A15 Bionic processor is so capable that none of the Android manufacturers have been able to catch up to it even after 1 year. So Apple decided to just reuse it with a few modifications on the iPhone 14. So iPhone 14 again comes with the A15 Bionic chip, but this one gets 6 CPU cores and 5 GPU cores, 6GB of RAM, 128, 256 or 512GB of internal storage and a 30-79 mAh battery. What does all this mean? Is the iPhone 14 much faster than the iPhone 12 and 13? Well, yes and no. In the background, iPhone 14 is actually capable of performing more computations than the other two. But do you really feel this difference in your day-to-day life? Not unless you are using all these phones side by side. Yes, Some apps and games do open faster on the iPhone 14 and 13 than they do on the iPhone 12. And the iPhone 14 is capable of keeping more apps open in the background thanks to the 2 extra gigs of RAM over the 12 and 13. But unless you are using these three phones side by side and looking for these differences, you won't actually notice them in your day-to-day usage. So you might ask, what is the use of getting the iPhone 14 with the latest processor? It actually helps you get the same level of sustained performance for a longer time. If you again check the speed of all three phones, let's say after 2 or 3 years, the iPhone 14 will still be performing at its peak and the other two won't be able to keep up all that well. That's just how tech works. The one place when I did find a noticeable difference in the performance was when I was outside taking images with these phones. Firstly, as I mentioned before, the displays on the iPhone 13 and 14 were getting much brighter outside, while the one on the iPhone 12 was a bit dim, which was making it slightly difficult to compose the shot. And secondly, the iPhone 12 was considerably slower at setting the focus, calculating the depth for portrait shots, and deciding whether or not it needs to use the night mode. Since I have been using the iPhone 13 for a while and I recently shifted to the iPhone 14, I could easily tell that the iPhone 12 feels a bit slower. But I don't think any one of you is looking to downgrade from one of the newer iPhones to the iPhone 12. I really hope most of you are looking to upgrade from one of your previous iPhones, or maybe you are looking to jump the ship from Android to iOS. In that case, you won't feel that the iPhone 12 is slow at all. In all fairness, it is still an excellent performing phone. You can throw any apps and games at it and it still handles it like a champ. One of the things which helps all these phones attain such amazing overall performance is iOS. It is the thread which is binding all of these parts together. iPhone 12 shipped with iOS 14, 13 with iOS 15, and the 14 now ships with iOS 16 out of the box. But as of this date, all of them are running the iOS 16, which is the latest operating system. That's the beauty of using an iPhone. No matter if your phone is brand new or if it was launched 1, 2, 3, 4 or maybe even 5 years ago, all of them get the latest updates on the same day. Since all of them are running iOS 16, over 90% of the features on all these phones are the same. Each of them of course has a few features which are specific to them or are available because of some of the newer hardware additions. But no matter if you go with the iPhone 12 or 14, you get all the features like the latest lock screen customizations, all the new features added to iMessage, widgets on the home screen, app library, and so on. Alright, now coming to their cameras. All of them have a dual camera setup on their back, and from the outside it might look like they are even the same set of cameras, just placed in a slightly different orientation. You might feel that they are more similar since all the cameras on these three phones are 12 megapixel sensors. Yes, even the ultra-wide and the front-facing ones. But all 12 megapixel sensors are not created equally. Each individual pixel on the iPhone 12's main camera has a size of 1.4 micron. Individual pixels on the main camera of the iPhone 13 has a size of 1.7 micron, and the ones on the iPhone 14 have the size of 1.9 micron. So as you see, the main image sensor has got bigger every year, and while the increase might not seem that big on paper, in terms of actual size, the sensors have got a significant boost. Combining that with the wide f1.5 aperture on the main camera of the iPhone 14, it lets in considerably more light on its image sensor compared to the other two. The ultra-wide angle cameras are not that different, and the only improvement that they bring along are thanks to the newer ISP on these processors. The front-facing camera on the iPhone 12 and 13 are the same, but the one on the iPhone 14 is now a newer sensor, gets wider aperture, and it also gets autofocus. So if you like to take a ton of selfies, iPhone 14 is clearly the one for you. Now I am going to show you some image samples from all the cameras on these phones. You can look at these images and decide for yourself whether or not you see some significant improvements. I have a very detailed camera comparison between the iPhone 14, 13, 12 and the iPhone 11 coming in the next few days. So if you are interested in the cameras on these phones and if you want to see a lot more images with my detailed analysis about them, then make sure to subscribe to the channel and have the notifications turned on, because you don't want to miss when that video comes out. There is one camera feature on the iPhone 12 which is not present on the iPhone 13 or even the iPhone 14, and that's the ability to turn Smart HDR on or off. For some mysterious reason, we just don't have that option on the newer iPhones. iPhone 13 brought the new photographic styles and cinematic mode for videos, but it is limited at shooting 1080p 30fps videos. Both these features are missing on the iPhone 12. iPhone 14 brings along the option of shooting cinematic mode videos in 4K 30 and 24fps, and it also gets a new action mode for shooting videos. It's like a super steady mode, where no matter how much you are shaking the phone, the videos turn out really stable. Both these features are not available on the iPhone 12 and 13. Again, you should wait for my camera comparison to drop because that will make things much easier for you. Now we get to the battery and charging speeds. As we saw before, iPhone 12 gets the smallest battery, but with normal usage and not playing too many games, you can still squeeze out about 6 hours of screen on time from it. iPhone 13 gets a 400 mAh bigger battery than the iPhone 12, And combining that with the efficiency of the A15 chip, you can easily expect to get 7.5 hours of screen on time. And the iPhone 14 gets almost a similar size battery and backup out of it as the iPhone 13. Sometimes it does give me 15 to 30 minutes more usage out of its battery compared to the iPhone 13, but it really depends on the kind of apps which I am using on that particular day. I think the iPhone 14's battery is still settling in as it is the first week that I am using it, and I am sure that I might get a bit more juice out of it in the coming days and weeks. All these figures are without playing games for a long time. If you're a gamer, you can just reduce the screen on time by about 2 hours, and that is the usage you will get out of each of these phones. If you want the longest lasting battery, then go with the iPhone 13 or 14. For charging, all of them still use the Lightning connector and they support somewhat fast charging. All can reach 50% in 30 minutes if you use a 20-watt charger. They can be used up even faster with a 30-watt power delivery charger. All of them also support Qi wireless charging and have the MagSafe magnets built in. Magnets on the back of the iPhone 13 and 14 feel stronger than the ones on the back of the iPhone 12. I think all of you know it by this point that none of these phones come with a charger in the box, so you will either have to use your existing charger or buy a new one. If you guys don't know this, then iPhone 12 was the first phone to ship without a charger in the box. Oh yeah, the iPhone 14 does have two new features which are not available on any of the previous iPhones: crash detection and the ability to send emergency SOS message via satellite. Both these features are impressive, but I hope no one is ever in the situation where they would have the need to use any of these features. Crash detection is available on phones sold everywhere, but satellite communication is just available in the US and Canada as of now. These are new features and it is good that the iPhone 14 has them, but I don't really think they add anything to how you use your iPhone on a daily basis, so I don't give these two features a whole lot of importance. With all of that covered, which one of these do you think is the right phone for you? If your purchase decision is driven by the price and if you just want to get the most affordable iPhone out of these three, then the iPhone 12 is your only choice. But keep in mind that its base variant just comes with 64GB of internal storage. If you are willing to spend a little extra, then the base variant of the iPhone 13 sits in the sweet spot where it offers you the most features for the least amount of money. And I personally think that it is worth going with the iPhone 13 over the iPhone 12. There is another point to consider here. If you are already using the iPhone 12, then I don't think you should upgrade this year. You should keep on using it for another year at least, as it is still an excellent phone. All the things which I said above are for someone who is looking to upgrade from a much older phone. Now between the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14, I still think you should skip the iPhone 14 and just get the iPhone 13. The improvements that the iPhone 14 brings along are not worth the extra 10,000 rupees. It is basically the same phone. I won't go as far and say that no one should buy the iPhone 14. After all, it is your money and you decide where you should spend it. But I won't suggest you to go with the iPhone 14 unless you are a smartphone photographer who takes a ton of images every day and could tell a difference between the images from the iPhone 13 and 14 without pixel peeping. Or unless you absolutely want the cinematic mode in 4K because it is a really cool feature, the new action mode, which I feel is okay but not a necessary feature to have, or the new crash detection safety feature. For anyone else, I would say go with the iPhone 13. So there you have it. My thoughts about the iPhone 14, 13 and 12. Which one are you planning to buy? Let me know in the comments. If you are going to go with the iPhone 14, I would really be interested in knowing that why you are choosing it over the iPhone 13. I am sure there are other people who would like to know as well. So please let us know in the comments. If you are going to buy either of these phones, I will really appreciate if you get them from the affiliate links in the description section. That is it for this video guys. Please hit the like button if you enjoyed this video and subscribe to the channel for a lot more quality tech videos like this. You can also check out some of the other videos from this channel. This has been Sagar and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.